had a lot of people ask me what they should be doing on their Ironman, and I've been wanting to make a guide, so here it is. From the start, I'm going to go over the very early on things that you should be doing, and then the later on things that you should be doing. And in between, I'll go over all the time savers. So when you start off, the first thing you're going to want to do is get 5 thieving. It takes like 5 minutes, and be sure to keep your coins, keep your bow and arrow. And next thing you're going to want to do is go into your minigames, teleport, and teleport directly to Castle Wars. You can do so without actually having been to the minigame, so that saves a lot of time. From Castle Wars, you're going to want to walk up to Artie, and then while you're at Artie, you're going to want to thieve cakes from over here until 20, so that'll take care of your early food situation. And the reason you keep your bow and arrow is because you can actually run over here, attack these guards, and they will run all the way to their outermost boundary, so you can actually just go straight to thieving again. That will save you a lot of time. After 20, you do silk until 35. Don't ask me why, it's later for the feud, but yeah. Silk to 35, and then while you're waiting that 10-minute timer out to sell your silk to this guy over here, you should be doing the Monk's Friend quest. Now, I'll go into why this is important now. As I said before, when you start an Ironman, it's very slow, and you're not just going to be able to go straight to Slayer and bosses. But the things that are going to help you out to skip a lot of early on content or early on levels will actually, it'll save you full days of time grinding levels early on. So to go over that, 1 through 18 woodcutting from the Monk's Friend would actually take around an hour or two otherwise. Getting your fire making up after having 18 woodcutting just straight from the start will actually save you a ton of time also, because otherwise you'd have to run around cutting down trees, and while you're cutting down regular trees you have 15 fire making and 11 woodcutting. You can't go to oaks yet and you're out of energy, but you have to keep walking around to cut these trees down. So Monk's Friend helps a lot. The reason you get 30 fire making is because later on you can do a quest called what the hell is this quest called? Sea Slug. There we go. You can do the Sea Slug quest, and that will get you straight to 28 fishing. Now 1 through 28 fishing is going to take you like 4 hours. That's another huge time save, so make sure you're adding all this up. Another time save you can do is Temple of Ikov, 1 through 28 or 26 fletching. That is huge also, because fletching early on is a pain. 1 through 28 will take you around 5 or 6 hours, not including if you're walking, so keep that in mind. You have to. There's so many freaking trees that you have to cut, and you get 5 experience per. It's just terrible. You can skip all that. So you can also skip a lot of mining levels through doing the dig site, through doing Doric's quest and the Plague City quest over there. These are all very simple things that take absolutely no time to do. So make sure you look into those and plan ahead a bit. Now, when you first start an account, before you do any of that, is you're going to want to do things that are not hindered by other stats or gold or items. So obviously you're not going to jump into Herblore because you don't have the stats, you don't have the gear, you don't have anything you need. You're not going to jump into Slayer either. So what you can do is thieving is unhindered by anything. Mining, you can say sort of, but you need 41. After you're 41, rather, you need to buy a rune pick. It's kind of expensive. Anyway, agility is the main one, because as an Ironman with 1 agility and no energy potions, you will have to walk everywhere. So you can skip a lot of walking, save a lot of time, and you're gonna need to get 70 agility anyway if you plan to do Sarah God Wars. So please just Arma God Wars or Sarah. Please just get the agility out of the way if you're going to anyway. Just do it as early as you possibly can. So obviously 1 through 10 here, and then you're going to do 10 through 20 at Draenor. The reason for this is because Draenor is actually faster than Alcarid. Draenor is around 9.5k an hour, and Alcarid's around 6 to 7k an hour, because at Alcarid you fail more, and at Alcarid you have to walk the entire course, which is pretty brutal. You also have to walk the entire course at Varrock, but I think Varrock's still slightly faster than Draenor. So you do 30 to 38 at Varrock, and then you would make your way onto doing the Grand Tree quest. That'll get you to 40, and after the Grand Tree quest you're going to want to go over to Varrock again, and do this Priest in Peril quest. After the Priest in Peril, you do Canifis until 50, Follador until 52, and then the Wilderness Course until 60, and Seers until 70, if you plan to get to 70 agility. Now this is actually like the best thing that you could possibly be doing for your account. If you want to go super try hard, afterwards you'd also do fly fishing, or you could skip the agility, just get to the point where you can fly fish. But I mean, that still requires you doing a lot of other early game stuff, so you could fly fish to get your agility up, skip those early courses, that low experience an hour, and you skip a lot of strength levels. But we'll get into, well, we just got into that. So yeah, another thing that I want to mention is before you start training any of these combat stats, before you start doing any combat at all, you should get your Mage, Prayer, and HP up at Lava Dragons, or any dragons. If you have 70 agility, you can just skip straight to Blue Dragons. And this is going to help you out a lot. And before you start training these, you're going to want to get like a Rune Skim, the best gear you can possibly use. So, train some Hunter up. You're going to need to do that anyway if you want to get your range up. I mean, you could grind range, but, then how are you going to do Armo without shins? It's going to suck. I mean, these little things, they add up to a huge amount of time, and they're things that you'll end up having to do anyway, so really do think ahead when you're planning with those things. One thing I want to show you really quick is with Herblore, fire making helps a lot, and you're probably wondering, oh, well, how does that help? When you light a log, you can actually run 4 spaces out in any direction and light the next log at the same time. The 4 spaces isn't really important. What is important is that you can walk 3 spaces and pick up an object. So I could walk here, pick up ashes if there's ashes on the ground, and then light this next log without losing any ticks. Now I guess this is really try hard, and it's not really important that you do this. However, it is important that you pick up your ashes, because you're going to get a lot of Taroman, and you're not going to use them for anything besides Sandfew serums. Now they're 50 experience each. You're going to have to do fire making anyway. Pick up all your ashes, and you could walk away with a lot of free Herblore experience. And you don't lose any time if you do it this way. Of course, you could do it normally. This is just a try-hard method. So the next thing, I already talked about mining. You can skip a lot of early mining levels with a few of those mining experience quests. And any other quest that you see experience rewards for, if they are easy to do, if they're, possible, do them as early as you can, because skipping the early levels will always save you a lot of time. For instance, fletching 1 through 28 takes you like 5 hours, and that's not a joke. It really does take that long. However, you can skip all the way from 1 to 28 just by doing the Temple of Ikov quest, and the requirements for that, are 40 range, and you need a U-bow. I mean, that's not too hard to get. You just do level 2 clues, and you can get it before you know it. You can actually get a level 2 clue, or as many level 2 clues as you want. Get a U-bow in one of those, and still get to 28 fletching before you would normally, just from doing the quest. So, that's really important. So yeah, everything that you can skip, make sure you do it. Obviously, there's Miscellanea, so make sure to do Miscellanea early on. And another thing with farming, you can actually get a lot of tree seeds from Miscellanea. You can get a lot of tree seeds from woodcutting when you're doing your construction. And you can get a lot of herb seeds later on from Slayer monsters. So when you start getting into Slayer, you'll actually just do farming as you go. I haven't really been doing much of it because I just have all the seeds sitting in my bank, really. But for doing construction, the best and most efficient way, also the cheapest way, conveniently, is by cutting oak logs. Now, when you cut these oak logs, I'll show you this really quick, and I won't actually show you, but I'll pretend to show you. If you go to a PvP world, you can save a massive amount of time, and you can skip over going to the sawmill. You can also do this with prayer and everything else that's in your house. This is just extremely helpful. So, while you're in Camelot, there's a bank right here. You can take your logs out and make sure you have 8 inventory spaces, 3 of which being your teleports and your coins, and then 20 logs. So you take out your 20 logs every time, teleport to your house, and then as soon as you're in your house, the first time you'll have to find your butler. The times after that, your butler will always spawn right here, right next to you. So you talk to him, you tell him, hey, go to the sawmill, take these, or actually you just use the logs on him, and he will take these to the sawmill, teleport to Camelot, and go in the bank, take out the next 20, and by the time you teleport back, he'll spawn next to you, as I said, and he will take the next set of logs to turn into planks. You can make 5k an hour doing this, otherwise you're making around 300 an hour at the sawmill, and you're walking, and it's painful. Just please keep this in mind. The next thing I'll show you, I guess, right now is prayer. So while you're doing prayer, it's important that you kind of set up your inventory accordingly. So the best inventory setup that I've found is just like this. So you have 5 inventory spaces here that are already full, and you take out 23 dragon bones. Now you teleport to your house, and you see the Merentler down here, and I took out 23 exactly for a reason, because later on you take out 23, you double click your Merentler. Now the reason this is important is because you can actually use your bones a lot easier if they're not on the last step if you're using AHK. If you're not using AHK, there's a lazy method. So this is the lazy method that I'm talking about right now. But if you are using AHK, it's important that these are, not... It saves a little bit of time. With AHK, you can get around 480k prayer experience an hour. Without it, it's a little bit slower, but here's the way that I do it. So this is the lazy method I just mentioned. You'll use the first 2 without any problem, and then the rest of them you use like this. So you wait for the... Just do the inventory exactly the way I'm doing it. I'm sorry that I can't explain this very well, but this is, the easiest way to go through an inventory of bones with the least amount of clicking, with the least amount of effort. And this actually, this saves like a lot of time if you just take your altar directly here, and there we go. There's piety unlocked. Awesome. So, last things that I'm going to mention, before you do Slayer, get your Torso, get your Void, get your Black Mask, imbue it. Before you start, bossing, make sure you have all the sharks, all the pineapple pizzas, everything like that. Don't do any rune crafting, because you're not going to want to do rune crafting until you get noted pure essence drops from Slayer or Wyverns, wherever you get your pure essence. Mining it just takes way too long. It would actually take a full entire year of 6-hour days just to mine the essence for 99 rune crafting. It would actually take less time killing Wyverns or Zulrah, so really important, just don't bother mining pure essence or any essence really. Skip over all the early things, that's also very important. And, don't bother training a lot of these stats until you can do it efficiently, No point doing Herblore when you're like 40 attack and strength, because you can wait until you're 80 attack, 90 strength, and then with a whip you can get 10 times the amount of herbs an hour, so it isn't going to help you too much. Actually, it's not going to help you at all, and it's going to take extra time. These are things that you need to do anyway, so make sure you plan ahead before you do them. One more thing before I go. I would like to mention that there are a lot of other things that can save you time, like ecumenical keys, thieving early to get the money, killing giant mole will get you Sarah Brews to kill other bosses later on a lot easier, and it'll also get you, a lot of farming and herblore experience. Miscellanea, to get that out of the way early, helps a lot, and yeah, I mean, go for like all the elite clue requirements, go for all the quests as early as you can. If you're gonna do them anyway, do it when it matters and do it when it's efficient. When it's gonna save you a ton of time, do it as soon as possible. And yeah, the earliest things you should be doing: agility, thieving, do the quests to skip a lot of the early levels, do hunter, get the glory, get ecumenical keys, and get the best gear possible before you start training any stats, before you start training any combat. And bosses, I mean, after you get to where I'm at, you can do whatever you want, really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps you out.